Hulvey, thank you so much for jumping on the AIM podcast.
My honor, brother. My honor.
This is going to be a really fun episode, bro. I'll be honest with you, man. Like I've been definitely been a fan of your music for a while now. And I was watching some of your content. I was watching actually one of your videos one day, and out of the corner, I see Chad Smith pop out. I'm like, yo, what the world? So
Right.
had to put that together. But man, super, super cool to have you on the show, and really excited to talk about your story and everything you're doing.
Dog, my honor. And yeah, man, bro. Man, thankful to be on here and to be able to, share what's going on in my life and share with your audience. So yeah, man.
Let's go, dude. No, but for real, like your music is great. I played basketball in college, so like my background's there, and a lot of the guys I grew up with playing hoops like listen to a lot of rap music, and I love rap music. I love hip hop, that pop music, and as a believer, it was sometimes tough to listen to a lot of like the mainstream stuff that's popular, like
Right.
on the radio and stuff. But I kind of started to navigate and kind of go to the direction towards like Lecrae and Tripoli and guys like that, and to see you kind of coming through and making your way, like it's so cool to me, bro, and it's so cool to see how you've done it.
Thank you. Yeah, man. It's been a journey and an honor to learn under those guys because I was the same. I mean, bro, I loved their stuff and it encouraged me for since I was in like middle school. So yeah, bro. Yeah, those guys were some of my heroes for sure.
Yeah, that's dope, bro. So yeah, I want to jump right into it. You've got a lot of cool things going on. Some new music coming out that's really, really good. You're about to be a dad. We got a lot of things we can talk about, but even before that, just to kind of set the context and the stage, man, how did you first get into music, and like what was your kind of entry into the whole game?
Yeah. So, man, I got into music starting in middle school. I started to really just get introduced to rap, secular music, Eminem, Lil Wayne, all that. At the same time, I got introduced to Lecrae as well, and got glued and stuck to that because I'm a Christian. It resonated to my faith and my walk with God, and so during this time in middle school, I'm freestyling, battle rapping in the locker room. You know what I mean? Roasting everybody around me. Then I went to high school and there's this guy in my band class. His name was Eddie Spencer, and he taught me how to write, like actually write music, and not just freestyle, but literally take what I'm doing and structure it and put it into real songs and like actually going for it. So he started teaching me. I entered a talent show that year as a freshman in high school, and it was my first time ever like really rapping on stage, and I won, and that really encouraged me. And from there, I just started learning how to make music, produce, record in my bedroom on this like, small equipment that I had. Then, man, I just kept going from there. And come time for college, I started sending demos over to Ace Harris at Reach Records. I would send it to him on Twitter, and he rocked with it. It was a long shot, but he rocked with it. Started talking with me, and bro, throughout that building process, it just, I stayed very consistent, took a lot of bad shots, missed a lot of layups, you know what I mean? I made a lot of songs and not all of them were good. But that time I stayed consistent. And around that time, I started to grow really, really, really close with God, and was seeking Him consistently. And I felt led to delete all the music I had out. So I deleted everything I had on SoundCloud, wiped my computer. And after that, this new journey began of like discovering what God was trying to do in my heart with the music. And because at the end of the day, bro, it's Him first beyond all that stuff. And really felt like realizing, Lord, what are you trying to do with my life? And so in that time, I grown with Him. It gave me a lot of clarity. He showed me the vision for what would be my technical debut project with Reach Broken Heart. Or my sophomore EP, whatever you want to call it. But it came out with Reach, and that was birthed in my bedroom where God spoke it to me. I wrote it down. I was telling people at Bible study that night, this vision for this project. And long story short, dropped out of college, moved to Atlanta, and signed a record deal with Reach about halfway through the year in the summertime. And yeah, man, Broken Heart was already done. I made it in Atlanta with a guy, just grinded. And to see how God led me to do that is always mind blowing to me. And so, yeah, man, that's kind of the short gist of it. But it was, I'd say consistency was a big key in that, and bigger than that, surrender to God and being open to where He was leading me was like the keys to getting where I'm at right now. So,
Yeah, bro. So that no, I love what you said there. And honestly, you bring up, this theme of consistency. And I think it's something that a lot of people, no matter if you're an athlete in fitness and business, musician, whatever that looks like, that's an important pillar that you should have in your life. You get an opportunity to work with Reach, like a really awesome record label like that. I'm sure it took that consistency to get to that point, but tell me a little bit more about that process and how you were able to maintain that consistency during a lot of times, or maybe you had some doubt with different, music not working out the way you thought it would.
yeah, I think one of the things was I wasn't scared to fail. And I just took a lot of shots. So, like, literally, to be specific, when I DM'd Ace, the A&R that eventually helped me get signed, man, I was sending him like songs probably every week, bro, just consistently sending him stuff, bro, even rough demos, which a lot of people would say, no, you probably shouldn't do that. But for me, I realized, like, man, just being hungry and shoot my shot was the move. Whereas, like, bro, I'm just gonna just do my thing and show what I'm making. And it actually ended up showing him how hungry I was and the growth that ended up happening over that, year of time. It's like, oh, wow, that's a lot of growth. And yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, it was not being scared of taking shots, being able to take risks, and being vulnerable in the sense of showing people your process, like what you're working on, showing people unfinished stuff. Like that was a part of my strategy. And ended up being super valuable for me. And I'm not saying that's the move for everybody, but in whatever you're doing, I feel like being, consistent, whether that's, hey, I'm hitting the gym every day, no matter what, every day I'm hitting the gym, or man, like when I go in with my shooting coach, I'm gonna make sure every single time, man, that I'm practicing exactly what he told me whenever I get home. You know what I mean? Like just being willing to, man, just have that, not, I don't want to say rigorous, but being able to have that flow. You know what I mean? So for me, it was constant nights making a lot of music. You know what I mean? And they ended up paying off for me, man. And I would say this too is for me, I loved making music, and I think that if you don't love it, it's gonna be real hard to do it. So do it with passion. Uh, don't waste your shots just chunking them up. You know what I mean? Like really like practice your form and enjoy the little things like making beats and being like, oh, I love this sample, or man, I love the way my voice sounds here. Let me try that again. Or whatever it is, just being in it, man, and being passionate. That was a huge part of it. So yeah, man, those were kind of some of the little keys that I had as I was going. Yeah, bro.
That's good. I love that, dude. And I think, one other thing I thought of as you were explaining that is just like, I don't know if this is something you dealt with. I'm sure it's something a lot of people do deal with in your industry, though, is like try not to necessarily please everyone that's listening to the song. Obviously, you're putting out music, you're trying to make an impact, and you want to serve those people, but like you're not doing this for them. Like I'm sure you have different motives. So how do you kind of enter that into the mix of things? Like you're trying to do this for a calling, for a reason that you feel called to do it, and not get so consumed in other people's opinions of like what you're putting out.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was a tough thing to walk through because I was in a smaller community. So you want people to rock with you around your community. But I think on the same sense, that was definitely being kind of tunnel vision was definitely one of the things that helped me get to where I was at. Because when I look back, I see some of the stuff I used to put out. I'm like, man, what was I doing? Like, of course, people didn't like all of this, but I realized that, man, I needed that. Like, I needed to know I could put stuff out there. I needed to know that I could go hard and be consistent. So yeah, man, I think it's so important to um, be confident in what God has given you and be confident in who He's made you to be. Because man, it's always gonna be somebody that doesn't rock with something. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, for me that was huge. I mean, and two, I'll say this: have some people, like I had people close to me that supported me, and so it's like it made it a little bit easier when you got a team. It's like, man, if we fail, we fail together, man. Like
Yeah.
we did concerts like I don't know if you know what Relay for Life is, but it was like, it was a really cool event where they would support cancer victims and like
Wow.
just really dope. And I performed there like twice, and man, my best friend, his name is Bailey, and he at the time was like a friend of yours, like managed me, bro. Having his support, him having my back, as well as my brother, like my brother, uh, David, he was there with me, like so him and Bailey would like walk with me through these shows and be there for me, and that gave me a lot of confidence. Even though I didn't know where everybody was at, I knew they had my back, and that is something I'd recommend to anybody: is build a team, have people around you that you can trust. You know what I mean?
For sure. Speaking of that, you step into the Reach Records, you're getting an opportunity to be around some people that you even referenced earlier in the episode of like people you looked up to, and then now you're getting a chance to collab with them on songs and be involved in a professional way, but also I'm sure there's relationships outside of the
Yeah.
music that were formed. What was that like, with like Lecrae and other guys? You can reference whoever, but what was that whole process like?
Yeah, it was really cool, man. I came in. It was definitely a slower process because not everybody lived in Atlanta. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
everyone has very busy lives. But when I would get the chance to be around them and start to build relationships, it was always just really dope. Like I remember Andy really taking me in and showing me a lot, and we worked together a lot when I first was really in the loop with Reach. Man, we ended up making so much stuff, and he became um, somebody I really looked up to in that time because he just kind of took me under his wing and let me create with him. But then even guys like, man, like Cray has given me so much wisdom in the past 3 years and has helped me become wiser and learn how to handle just very difficult or interesting situations. He's been somebody I can lean on and trust. Um, and then man, like Few and RG and Wande, like they've always, man, bro, they've been so real. And it's cool because I met my wife because of Wande. Like
wow.
Wande was the person who set me up with my wife. So it's like, man, it's been so dope. And that, I mean, I can name everyone, man. Trip, like I got to know him a lot on tour and this year, and ever since it's been a dope bond. Tadashi's always been loving to me. So yeah, man, it's family, bro.
That's so cool. I love that, bro. What, another thing I want to touch on and ask you about, because I think this is pretty relevant too. Like you've gone from making music in your bedroom, like you were talking about, to signing with Reach, to going on tour, to seeing the way that God has blessed your platform and it's growing and your music's reaching more and more people. That's a lot of excitement. That's a lot of cool blessing, but like there's got to be some hard challenges that come with that process. What are some of the most challenging things that you've seen during that growth period that you've had to kind of deal with or pray about and kind of navigate through?
Like coming into Reach in the label situation, basically.
Yeah, and just seeing your platform continue to grow and kind of have a bigger reach out there.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm still currently learning and walking through is how to handle a growing platform and to not let it get to my head, make me prideful because
Sure.
man, these are things that you don't grow up in school getting taught about, or even with, I'm thankful I had good mentors who always pointed me to Christ. But at the same time, once you walk in it, it can feel so unfamiliar. So for me, it's just embracing the unfamiliarity and trying to trust God, um, and continuing to show me who I am, because I never want to think that I'm a God. I never want to think uh, that I have the keys, and as easy as it seems to not feel that way, to be like, oh man, I'm humble, I'm God's servant. I think I'd be lying if I said there's not times where you just start to feel gassed up. You feel like, man, like, this is what I'm doing. This is dope. This is, man, I'm killing right now. And it's like, man, that is something I've had to continuously walk through and trust God in, and continue to keep my heart like tender to, and be willing to, like, if it means I need to delete the gram for a little bit, or stop listening to music, or shoot, man, just hang out with my wife more, or be diving in the word, like, bruh, those things are helpful. And so just being willing to follow God's voice, man, and to see whenever I'm being prideful, and to learn how to celebrate the wins, like in a healthy manner.
Yeah.
Because dope to have a wife, so I can celebrate these wins with my wife, and it's not uh in a prideful way. It's family. It's like, man, this was so dope what God did. It's cool seeing what's happening. But yeah, man, just being able to navigate that's been difficult. You know what I mean? Like that's been one of the things that they don't teach you coming into this, bro. They just say chase your dream. Like people are so forward chasing dreams, but what happens when your dreams become your God? It's like how do you navigate that? You know what I mean? So yeah, man.
That's good, bro. It's so tough. It's such a tough line because it's like, man, God bless you, and God blesses us, and He puts these things in our life that are exciting, that we're excited about. And then, if it's something we're truly, truly passionate about here on earth, and we feel like God's called us to do it, but things go well and they grow, and you're like, man, I get so excited. It's hard to not get consumed in it because we feel like God's called us to do it, but there's got to be that separation where we understand it's from Him and not anything that we personally did. It's Him working through us.
Yeah, man, that's simply it, bro. It's like, man, dog, literally without him, like we're still sinners without him. We're still evil without him. We're still, man, humans. But with him, man, we're saints, sons and daughters of the King, and it changes. And I think it's remembering, oh, the difference there is him. Like you're saying, it's like with him, this stuff is actually dope. Like it's actually impactful and meaningful. But without him, we're just chasing the wind, you know?
Yeah, and it's crazy to see, and obviously, like our backgrounds are very different, but yet there's a lot of commonality in the way that our faith is involved. But it's like to see where your life is before Christ and like how you try to handle things, or even in the moments where you make it about yourself or idolize things, versus when God is at the forefront, is your focus, He's your foundation, He's what you're working, He's working through you. Like the differences of like the fulfillment, the way you're able to respond to the impact that's being made around you. Like there's so many things that are just so different. And it's so cool to see in those moments when God is the foundation, is the focus, like what can be accomplished when He's leading the charge.
It's life change, man. It's a whole nother, like, bro, when he's in the center of it, bro, you just start to see the difference in the fruit. Whereas it's not just people coming up to you like, man, I love your music. It's like, man, bro, I really felt God tonight, man. Thanks for sharing what you shared. But it's never like based on you. So he's always the center when you look at the fruit of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Speaking of the fruit of it, man, I would love to hear a little bit more about some cool stories, if you have any, of just ways that your music's been able to make an impact on people. I'm sure you get some dope messages probably through social, at concerts. Like, tell me about some of maybe your favorite moments you've been able to interact with people like your stuff.
Man, I think one of the biggest moments, my favorite moments that I've ever experienced, I was in New Jersey. I did a booking and it was like probably like 50 to 75 people, very small. And not even 75, probably 50. But bro, went to this church. It was a small church. And before the show, we were in the car and the guy was like, man, I have this vision, like this idea where you play the song Holy Spirit and then we do baptism. So I was like, oh yeah, man, that's dope. Let's do it. Get to the show, start doing the show, man. About 20 minutes in, I'm trying to remember exactly how it went, but basically, long story short, bro, the joint broke into baptisms, bro. It was like 3 hours.
Wow.
The show was done. It wasn't even the show anymore. It was just God moving, bro. And I mean, I just remember that night being very powerful. And I can only imagine what's happened in that body of Christ within those people ever since, because it was so beautiful. To see people just repentant, see people being hungry for him, some people getting saved that didn't know him. It was amazing, bro. So I remember that night being really special to me. I think, man, another really cool moment for me, this doesn't sound as spiritual, but this is more of a personal thing. When I did my final show in Orlando, Unashamed tour, it was the final show of the run. I remember getting on stage that last time, feeling this confidence that I hadn't felt the whole time. I had confidence on stage, but it was like this time where I could feel God's spirit moving within me on stage. It was like, man, it felt right. You know what I mean? And looking back at that, I remember that being a beautiful moment, just feeling God affirming what was going on. And like, just being like, man, this is such a full circle moment to be doing this tour with these artists that I grew up listening to, and to do it this way, to do it God's way is crazy. So that, and then, man, yeah, as far as like with the fans and the people, I don't even want to say fans, just, man, the people that's rocking, like, man, I get countless messages and stories. You just seeing different things that God's doing. And I think the biggest thing that always sticks out to me is when people hit me up about like their intimacy with God and like how the music is making them like want to go to him. Like, bro, that always just wrecks me. So yeah, man.
So
Yeah,
cool.
it has been a journey, to say the least, spiritually, and just for the impact. That's what I do this for, man. And I have to constantly remind myself that, and God always does. So yeah, man.
I love that, bro. That's special, man. It's super powerful, and I'm sure, like, as you continue to do this thing, obviously you're driven for, your reasons. But I'm excited to see the way you're going to continue to make an impact, and it's going to continue to reach more and more for His glory. Because I think it's just gonna happen, bro. Because that's the way you're going after it. That's the way you're doing it. You're keeping Him first, and your music reflects that. And I think the Holy Spirit's in your stuff, bro. Like, it's good.
And thank you. Nah, he's everything, man. It's literally like, dog, I'm humbled to get to be somebody that gets to make music and people can hear God's heart in it. So I'm humbled, bro.
I love that, bro. We talk, I've had some different athletes on the show, and some different people that play, sports or in the fitness world. But like, one thing I'm curious with you is, what does a day look like when you're about to have a big concert? I want from like time you wake up to the concert. Like, do you have like a pre-concert ritual that you go through your routine? Like, what does that look like? I'm super curious.
Oh man, I'm gonna let you into the real. Bro, it is at least for me, the way it's been this year. First of all, it's been hectic. A lot of shows, a lot of traveling. But man, I will literally have to get up. This gonna make you hurt a little bit inside, but I have to get up at like sometimes 3:30, 4 a.m.
No way.
Yeah, bro. Get to the airport, go through the little thing at the airport, do all that. Man, get to the venue. Well, get on the plane, get there, get picked up. Sometimes get dropped off to the hotel to get some sleep, then go to the venue, perform. But man, typically, like, the consistent thing is these early flights. I've been on very early recently, and that has been like a major thing, a part of my routine, because it's I'm forced to have to get up and fight to have energy and fight to be awake. Man, one thing I'm trying to implement more right now into my shows and before the shows is to enjoy the city I'm in more.
Yeah.
Enjoy the people I'm around. So, man, if me and a DJ are there, man, let's have fun. Let's enjoy it. Even if we're together, it's like fighting to have more bonding, fighting to just enjoy that time. But, yeah, man. And I think one of the things that's really that can be very difficult is to fight to get in the word before shows, to fight to spend time, because you're mentally like, all right, I got a show tonight, I got to rest, I got to do this, got to do that. But man, I think there's nothing better than whenever I can go on stage spiritually fit, spiritually worked, spiritually invigorated, and go up there and be able to speak from the heart of God with confidence. That's a tension, a good tension, where it's like fighting to be close to Him on the road can be hard, but it's worth it. Yeah, man.
No, that's good. And that was going to be something I wanted to bring up, because I mean, obviously, no matter what your walk of life is, what you're doing, we have to be filled up. We have to be filled up by Him. And it's hard for us to pour out and make an impact and show his love to others without receiving His love and spending that time with Him. And so, especially for someone like you who gets up on a stage in front of thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people, it's like, you've got to make sure those things are intact to make sure that you can go out and really represent Him. Not in a perfect way, but in a way that, honors Him. So
and it's bro, like, He has to be our first desire. And I think that's what convicts me, honestly, when we talk about this is on the road, is, Lord, man, I need Him as my first desire. Because, bro, it's real easy to go through the motions and be like, yeah, man, I have him first. But bro, it is not, it's just difficult
Yeah,
in this walk. And man, I want to be one to be on the narrow road even when it's tough. So yeah, I mean, that's something I really want to continue to grow in, is just fighting to let him shine through me, fighting to behind closed doors, just be disciplined. I know God understands that I need sleep. I know God understands the fun, but and I want him to get the glory. And so
for sure.
yeah, man.
I love that, bro. What I want to talk about your new single Closer. I want to hear about kind of the inspiration behind that song.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Like tell me the story, and then yeah, I got some questions for you about it.
Yeah, come on. Well, man, first, thanks for asking about the song. Sometimes we do interviews and oh man, I love talking about the music, but sometimes people don't ask. So thank you for asking. Um, man, it's first of all, it was really cool because I got to do it with my boy Tori Deshawn. It's my best friend. He one of the best artists I know. His new album coming that he's working on is insane. But he basically I had the song written, and at the very end, I added him on, and we in 15 minutes wrote that final part. And what's funny is that I remember feeling this tug in my heart to add Tori on the song, even though both verses were written. It didn't even make sense. I didn't have that piano part yet, nothing. And I was just feeling this tug, and it had to be God, man, just tugging me like, put Tori on the song, you and Tori on the. I'm like, man, this song is complete. You know what I mean? Like it's done. Like there's no reason to add anybody. And I remember when we got to making that, dog, it just changed everything just to have that. And so basically the meaning, the song kind of wrote itself because the meaning actually evolved over time. And I'll explain. So originally I went in the studio, I recorded this song, and it was basically like a freestyle where I was like freestyling each bar and just piecing it together on top. Yeah, it was fun, bro. So I was like in there just rattling off bars, doing different punch takes till I get the whole song recorded. Had the song recorded. So you see the lines, I'm trying to be a disciple of this, I'm trying to be a disciple of that. What's crazy about this song is that when me and Tori wrote that final part, I remember having this revelation. I don't remember if I had the revelation after or before. I just remember in this time, had this revelation of like, even though when I was saying I'm trying to be a disciple, even though that feels pure and right, I remember having this revelation that why am I trying to be a disciple when I am one? When God has made me his son, when I have to make the choice to follow him, I'm not supposed to try to, I'm supposed to be one.
It's good.
Because he's in me. He's paid for it. And the reason why I think it's so dope, and I kept that in there, is because Tori comes in and says, when I'm close, when I'm far, it don't change who you are. Amen. You live in the light, but you come to the dark. Amen. And he says, even when I had nobody else, I just kept messing up. They put me on a shelf, but you stayed close to me. And it's cool how it felt like the song wrote itself, because that end part ended up tying into that first part and almost contradicting it in the coolest way, where it was like you kind of are hearing me cry my heart out, then hear Tori come in with the truth of like, hey man, like no matter what, like you're here for me. And so me choosing like just that choice of like, oh, I don't have to try no more. I need to accept your grace for me. I need to accept I'm your son. I don't have to try to be or strive to be. So that's, and not a lot of people are going to catch that in the song, but it stuck out to me. And it was cool how that ended up kind of interconnecting and to be in this, I would say, a conversation almost of this song that was recorded in one way, but then kind of flipped and changed meanings later. And I love that. So
it's so
yeah.
dope, bro. I love the story behind it. And it's cool to hear your heart behind it, what you've kind of put together to that song. And man, it's so true. Cause I feel like a lot of people, even myself included, like you mess up or like you feel like, you go through a stretch where maybe you haven't been as consistent or disciplined in your walk. And it's like, man, I feel like I'm so far from God right now. And I just feel like I'm not worthy or deserving of his presence, of being close to him. And that's not the way it is. And it's hard for us as humans to believe that or to understand that. But man, I think that song goes nicely and kind of explains that message of like, dude, you don't have to feel like you're far from God anytime, no matter what you've done. Like it doesn't matter. He wants to be
Yeah,
close to you.
yeah, it's what he's done for you. And there's a lot lines in the song where I say, I know I'm the one that need him. I found my freedom when I found out they hit and beat him. He hung on the cross. That's how they chose to seat him. You don't need to seat at the table when you have a seat in the kingdom.
Mm.
I can't help but be humble whenever I think of the day that I see him. And it's like, bro, it's his grace that's paid for me. It's not how much I try, not how much I do. It's what he's done and what he says about me. And so, yeah, I think that song really, really does paint that, where it's like, man, it's his grace, man. That's what gets you closer. It's not your efforts. It's
Mm.
not your works. Even the cover, if you notice the cover, I'm holding a soda bottle. It's funny, but I remember even later, me and Tori kind of looking at it like, man, like, is this enough, God? Like looking at, is what I have enough? And it's like cool because it's like that whole thing feels like an accidental art piece where God tied together this beautiful story that I couldn't have wrote. And so, man, I hope maybe even for you, when you go back and listen, look at the art, you can be encouraged and see it in a whole new way. And yeah, man.
I love that, bro. That's so good. Speaking of, that song is amazing. That song is out. It's live. People can go listen to that. But you got some other projects you're working on that are hopefully going to be out soon for us to listen to.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah. So working on wrapping up this 3-pack I want to put out, a couple of singles just to kind of end the year on. And it'll be different. It'll be very artful. It'll be fun. Kind of like a little, I want to say story, but just like, you know how Drake will put out every once in a while, he'll put out his little packs, so just to give them to the people.
Yeah.
Kind of like that, from me to you type of thing. And so, kind of working on that, trying to get that in the pipeline. And really excited because I'm really rapping on those and just excited for that. And then, in bigger news, working on my next album.
Let's
And
go.
yeah, man. It's man. Yeah, I'm so inspired. Production sessions like start this week. We already have records that are going to be on it, but like the producers are getting in the trenches this week to really get this thing really kicked off and started. So be in prayer for me in that, because I just want to steward it, and I want to speak what God's put on my heart, but also speak anything else I'm not seeing or not even realizing. So yeah, man. And then, bruh, beyond that, having a baby, it's gonna be lit.
Let's go.
My wife for having a baby boy, and so all these things happening at once are such a blessing. And then I'm planning a headline tour next year, my first ever like real tour that I'll tour off the album. And so, just man, I'm trying to steward life right now and what God's doing. Even as I say it, I can just feel it's exciting, and it's also knowing, man, God has so much grace right now to all this out. And so, yeah, man, it's really exciting. It's a lot happening. Yeah, man. And then we're over at Reach as a collective roster. We're working on something really special. So I just got home from that, working on that. And so I'm excited, man. It's a lot going on, and I'm just trying to steward everything as good as I can. So
I love it, bro. Stay encouraged, bro, because you're making a huge impact. I love your music. I know so many other people around the world do, man, and it's gonna be so cool to see how you keep doing that. And being a father, bro, that's a big deal, man. Congrats on that.
Bigger than all of that,
Facts.
bro. We're just excited. We can't wait to meet him. We keep seeing him kick. You know what I mean? Keep feeling the kicks and him jumping around in the womb, but I can't wait to just meet him face to face. You know what I mean?
No doubt. Does he have rhythm? Or the kicks in a beat? Are they kind of random?
Oh, well, crazy is Rachel was playing in my music the other day, and she said he was kicking more than he's ever kicked. So that had me emotional. I was just like, wow, like, man, that's our son in there, like, and he recognizes his father's voice, and it's kind of a resemblance of us and God, where it's like, man, bro, we should be kicking around when we realize he's speaking to us and he loves us.
Dang.
So
That's
Yeah, man.
good. That's facts.
Yeah.
Bro, I really appreciate you coming on the pod. This has been a really fun episode, man. I'm super glad we got to connect and do this, man. I'm a huge supporter of your stuff, so I can't wait to keep crushing and seeing all the cool stuff you do, bro.
Bro, thanks for having me. This was great. Would love to do it again, man. Super dope. Man, thanks everybody who's listening and watching. Appreciate y'all.
Let's go.